Well, Rand identified consciousness as one of the three primary axioms of, I guess you could say, logic or the material, along with existence and identity. So you have existence, which predicates consciousness, and then you also have identity. These are the three. I think she called them the sort of basis of knowledge, really, because you know in order to have consciousness, you have to first exist, and then with that comes a sense of identity, in that you have because we're finite beings, we have a certain identity, we have specific attributes, and then from that is the foundation on which you can build a sort of understanding. You know, you use your reason to gain to assemble knowledge in reality about what is best for your own survival, and that comes the pillar of self-interest. And from that's where we. That's how she sort of reasoned that. But
why are you conscious right now? So from a religious perspective, from the argument of a religious person, every moment in consciousness only exists because you were conscious the immediate moment before. Right? Going back infinitely.
Not infinitely, no. I wasn't conscious before I was born.
Well, how do you know?
Sorry? You think I was conscious before I was born?
I think conscious is it's a functioning corpus cells.
Can you remember?
Well, so one second. The fetus. Sorry, I should have said before I was conceived, really. But you're right in that the fetus gains consciousness. Scientists think about 24 weeks in. In 24 weeks in. Before 24 weeks, they're not conscious. But okay, before I was conceived, then I should say.
But you see, nobody can actually remember accurately their very first conscious moment. You can't remember the very first time you were conscious.
No.
But essentially, what you're saying is consciousness is an emergent property of the rearrangement of the function of matter. That's what you're proposing. Because consciousness didn't come from anywhere. You're saying matter is there, they're rearranging themselves in their proportion, whether you want to go to the micro level or the quantum level. This rearrangement gives rise to the level of consciousness. The fact that this is matter, this fence, and you're matter too, but the rearrangement of this fence hasn't happened to the level that it happened to you. Okay, that's what consciousness emerged. Okay, I find it is extraordinary in sort of accepting this kind of claims. Just matter can just simply rearrange by themselves.
It doesn't just simply rearrange. It's not spontaneous.
So this rearrangement. Okay, actually, before we talk about rearrangement, let's return back to the same question that we taking. So this existence, you proposed a third option. I'm still trying to understand where this option is, right? So either things have always been in existence, or they haven't been always in existence. We can look at this in a binary sense, because what's the third option? The two options are things have always been in existence. There is no beginning of these things. Matter, whatever you want to call it, always been there. Or they haven't been always been there. And there's some point where they became existent in this reality. You're proposing a third option. I don't understand what that option is. Would you mind elaborating a bit more in a layman's term? What is that third option in between eternity without any beginning and there is a finite beginning of somehow? When I say finite, I'm not talking about the finite you want to describe mathematically, philosophically. I'm saying...
you mean the Big Bang, right?
No, of course not. Big Bang is just a model. Why bring people
you don't believe in the Big Bang? Okay,
no. It's not about I don't believe in the Big Bang. Big Bang is just one of the many models of the emergence of our particular universe.
It's a pretty strong
right?
model. It's survived a lot of the evidence that the standard model...
Sure. Out of many models, right? So it doesn't mean this is what I'm talking about. I'm saying you have either existence which had no beginning or existence which has a beginning, right? So obviously beginning itself is quite questionable in the sense that you can ask, what do you mean by beginning? Is it linked with time or not? And that's why your equations you're bringing in is going to, I think, try to solve something mathematically. When I say existence eternally, I mean it was always there. Remember the position always there? It means whatever concept of time that you have, it is always been there. Okay? Whatever you can imagine, there was something there always. The opposition or the contrary model to this is, no, there wasn't something always there. So there wasn't this always business there. Okay? So what third option can there be?
No, there could. You see, you think that time is linear. It's not necessarily linear.
I didn't say time is linear. I said
you're implying there's a beginning.
I didn't imply there's a beginning. I'm saying there are two options.
He's saying it's binary.
I'm saying, if you think about it, there cannot be more than two options.
And I'm disagreeing.
When you say there can be, okay, give us a third option so we can understand.
Is string theory.
Yep.
The idea is,
which is
starts off, there's like a Big Bang.
starts.
Just hear me out.
Oh, sorry.
There's an expansion from like a Big Bang concept. Doesn't mean it was the first Big Bang. The universe keeps on expanding for a vast period of time. Then as a result of things like dark matter and gravity, eventually the universe just implodes on itself and the whole process starts again over 50 billion years. And for all we know, that whole process has been going on and off infinitely.
Right. So you're essentially saying what I am proposing. When you say starts off, let's start with your first statement. Starts off with what? From what?
Maybe it existed forever. Maybe that whole process.
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. Remember, I'm proposing there is only two scenarios. When you say it starts off, brother. When you say it starts off, either it was already there or it wasn't there. Whatever is starting off, is it starting off from something that is existent or something that is non-existent?
You see, again, it's not that it was ever non-existent. It has always existed, perhaps.
Then there is no third option from your point. You agree with me? Do you have a third option?
Can I just ask you something? I'm sorry to answer the question with the question, but just before we go on, do you agree that the universe began? Sorry, I should say existence began at some point, right? I would assume yes, because God created all that exists.
The reality that we're talking about, because as a Muslim, I can say this existence is a creation of God that we brought into existence.
Okay.
But God existed always.
Yeah, sure. No, I get that.
So, but our particular reality was brought into existence.
Okay.
Okay. So before we go into what I believe, and we want to actually go to the very first principles and try to understand,
of course,
how you come to your position.
But I just wanted to ask. I'll let you go on. I just want to ask a question.
So I believe there's something always in existence. In this proposition of mine, there are two binary options, and I would say the one that makes sense rationally, the one that makes sense logically, reasonably, is the one that is always been something in existence. You say these binary options, there's a third option. What is that third?
So, as I said, can I ask you, have you read A Brief History of Time?
Long time ago, yes.
Long time.
Yeah.
It's the idea of a Euclidean curved space-time. So
use layman's terms.
Okay, all right.
So that everyone can understand, right?
Right.
Because if you're not a physicist or a mathematician or someone who's a cosmologist, people, they'll all be lost.
Right. I don't know. It's a pretty technical book, but insofar as I can understand it as a layman, he says that you have to incorporate into this unified theory, what we might call a quantum theory of gravity, that you need what Richard Feynman proposed, what he called the sum of all histories, or the sum over histories of a particle, which is the idea that a particle in existence doesn't just have one history, but it actually follows every single possible path in existence that it possibly could have. And he says that in order to add up the numbers to which you derive from where I won't go into it, but in order to add up the numbers which are associated with each of these histories, you run into technical problems, and thus you need to do the addition with imaginary time rather than real time. And imaginary time is this idea that he derives from what's called Euclidean spacetime. Euclidean spacetime just means a time and space which is four-dimensional and where there is no distinction between time and space. Okay, and then the other aspect that he says this theory needs to have is that it needs to have Einstein's idea of curved spacetime, curved gravity. Okay, so it is just a theory, but he's saying, of course, we don't know, what the theory is, but Hawking just says that, assuming this theory exists, these are two elements which we can be pretty certain it will have. So, I don't know who said that.
Your certainty comes after.
Sorry?
Your certainty comes after assuming.
No, we're uncertain.
You said if these two things.
Yeah. The two elements, yeah.
These two elements,
Yes.
assuming that they are factual, then this certainty comes out of it. So
No, he's not taking them.
Talk to the brother, but what's your
Okay, so
what's your point?
what's
I don't get your point.
what's my point?
Speak to the brother.
Okay, all right. What's my point is that if you apply this, I'm going to keep saying the Euclidean curved spacetime because that's Hawking's model that he comes up with. If you apply that to the cosmos, you end up with what's called the no boundary condition, where time is like the globe, where it's finite. You know, it's not infinite as you say it is, but it's without boundary. And you know, if you keep going around the Earth, you're not going to hit a barrier. You can keep going, but the globe is not infinite.
Let me simplify it for you.
Okay.
Because I think you're really much into this confusion of the technicality and jargons of science.
I'm sorry, I can't
no.
put it in
It's not about you can't put it because essentially, as I said, existence, we understand what it means, right? Non-existence, we understand by the opposite of existence. So I am saying there has always been existence, as opposed to there was non-existence, but you're saying there's something in between. There's a third option. Your mathematical Euclidean, non-Euclidean, all this science and philosophy being merged into this grand unified theories or whatever, right? A third option is either what? What is this third option? I'm still trying to understand your third option. The options I propose is something has always been remember I said something. That something could be time, space, matter, energy, particles, quantum, hadrons, leptons, you name it, whatever. It's a thing. It's a thing. There is something that is always in existence, or that it hasn't been for our reality.
Okay, right, I see.
So when
I
you bring your propositions about a third option, I'm at a loss to understand what it is.
All right, I think I get you. I think that's my function. I elaborate. So I propose my third option, or Hawking's third option, which was to a binary dilemma, which was proposed by Kant, which was slightly different from what you're saying, which was regarding the universe, not existence. So if you say existence is actually not the same thing as the universe, and that there are other things which exist outside of the universe, which you obviously do, because that's God, then that's fine. So my third option is a third option to Kant's dilemma of the universe, which is what we were originally speaking about. Your thing regarding existence, I would say it's safer to assume that that existence is not eternal, but I don't think you can say either way.
Did anyone understand that? No. Without no disrespect.
Sure.
Because if somebody has understood the third option, I would like you to explain to me so that I
Well, no, I didn't say a third option to your.
I'm saying there can only be two options. There can only be two options.
In the context of existence, maybe. In the context of the universe.
I'm not talking about the universe.
Okay.
I talk about existence. You are part of this existence. Remember I talk about reality and existence? You and I are part of this existence. So either there is these two binary options or there's a third. If you have a third, I would like to know what that third is.
I don't know if my third option applies to existence as a whole, to the cosmos, as well as to the universe.
Why limit existence to only in London? Why limit the concept of existence only to Marble Arch, Speaker's Corner, or London? Existence means existence, doesn't matter wherever it is, right?
Well, because we don't know for sure that anything exists outside of the universe. Unless
you're limiting.
Unless you're a proponent of the multiverse theorem, which I assume as a Muslim you're not.
So you see, you're assuming too much. I think that's the problem.
I'm saying if.
No, that's a lot of assumptions. Okay. Multiverse and this verse. Look, multiverse is also another model, right?
It is, yeah.
Right. That means our universe is not the only existence. Yeah. So when we talk about existence, any possible existence, we know. That's what I started with, didn't I? Are you sure that you exist? The moment you affirm that you exist, we have existence.
Yes.
Doesn't matter whether it's in a multiverse or not, we have already got existence.
I'm with you.
Right. When we have existence anywhere in inverted quotes, because what is anywhere? What is everywhere? Right? The question needs to be asked is, has this existence, ultimate existence, that eventually gave rise to you, or you are the ultimate existence, and there was no prior existence, has it been always in existence?
I would say no.